The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
It's like 3 hours of music, or 2.5 hours or something crazy of music.
Not long enough. Needs more music.
I listened to one track from it, and that was half an hour, and I was like, I don't have time for the rest of this.
So coming from our collective caves to your dank dwellings, fucking cunt, I'm going to do that again. Off to a flying start at the moment. Well, you know, things could always go a hell of a lot worse, and if they go a hell of a lot better, then I'm going to be thoroughly impressed. But you're listening to the Cave Dweller Music Podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
We're all sort of talking over each other. We've been chatting for about 20 minutes before we actually started recording. So this is the Cave Dweller Music Podcast, coming from our collective caves to your dank dwellings. We haven't done a recap of 2020 as of yet, so we thought we'd sit down and get into that at the moment. We've got James and Brendan on the line. Gents, how's the start of 2021 treating you so far?
It's been an interesting year so far.
Yeah, it's been good. It's definitely been good. Things are looking up.
I suppose they can always look up, or you can look down. It's just a matter of perspective. What's the old line from Star Wars? From a certain point of view. I think that's kind of how we have to approach these ones here. So what I reckon we do to start off with, if you saw it on the Cave Dweller Music website and even on our Facebook page as well, we split up the top 10s into a few separate things. But one of the ones that I wanted to start off with is the top 10 that was actually decided by our Cave Dweller Music Group Facebook page. And Brendan's actually just informed me before we jumped on air that we have hit 666 and then some. Pretty exciting times.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think we're almost at 700 now. It's just ticking under it.
Did we actually work out who was the number of the beast? Like, who was member 666?
Yeah, we did. Give me 1 second. I can actually tell you his name.
There we go. Well, maybe if we say his name, it'll happen like as soon as we say it, he'll be summoned into the podcast. That'd be pretty interesting.
It's in here. Someone sent it to me. Oh, it's in the wrong chat. Hang on, that's why I'm not finding it. That's the Cave Dweller full team chat.
Here we go. We're actually peeling behind the scenes a little bit, and you're actually going to work out how many bloody group chats we've got going on just for this one page in the podcast. I think it's like 3 or 4 different ones.
I think it's at 4 now.
So if any of the contributors are listening in being like, wait, why am I not a part of that one? Well, now you know. We've got 4 different group chats, and we're just talking shit behind all of your backs.
Here we go. It was Mark Bronkhorst.
Wonderful. Well, I can't say I've ever had a chat to the dude, but hey, if you're number 666 in a metal music page's group, well, I think that's a pretty good sign all unto itself.
Yeah, and if he's listening, you are the beast.
You are the beast, exactly. Hopefully, if we keep mentioning his name, he'll end up being summoned into the podcast. All right, so what are we going to do? Say his name 3 times and then he'll appear like a Bloody Mary kind of situation?
There has to be a pentagram involved somehow.
We'll bring it back, seeing as we just went off a bit there with the pentagram. So the Cave Dweller Music Group voted on their top 10 records of the year. There was 4 weeks of polling, well over 100 votes across the entire page. We haven't done an official review for these ones just because it was our community who actually chose these ones. Do one of you gents have the list in front of you? I've got it up in front of me so I can run through it, no worries.
Yeah, I mean, I had it here in front of me as well, so whatever you want to do.
All righty. So I reckon we'll do it. We'll take it, one at a time. So first place, and I can't say that I've listened to this album, but the number 1 album that was voted for by the Facebook group was Necrot's Immortal. James, can you walk me through that album?
So that was one that I personally never got super into. I know that with it, I liked it. It wasn't in my top 10. The death metal community got really big time behind it. It was in like a lot of top lists for a lot of websites and group polls and a lot of other groups I'm in. It's pretty much it's old school death metal. It's done pretty well. If you like death metal, check it out.
I kind of thought it reminded me of Power Trip.
You think so?
Ah, okay. That's a really... I am a big fan of Power Trip, so that's a really good...
Like the thrashy industrial vibe?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't see that, but that's what's good about music. Everyone sees different stuff.
And speaking of different stuff, number 2, as voted for by the Cave Dweller music groups, was And Oceans and Cosmic World Mother, another album that I never got around to. Did either of you gents have a chance to check that one out?
I did not.
No.
Alrighty, so there we go. That's something that all three of us can actually get around to and check out. James, number 3, I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of. You're a little bit
Tolkien-esque.
more. You're a little. Yeah, I was about to say you're a little bit more well versed in metal pronunciations. Could you talk us through number 3?
Yeah, so that is Surith Ungol with their latest album. Just trying to think what the word means. It's like a fortress from the Tolkien world. They're
God, we're getting back into the Tolkien theme metal. We said this in the last podcast that we ended up scrapping, but there really needs to be more Dune-based metal, or even just other fantasy and sci-fi themes outside of the Tolkien universe.
You're not wrong, but I'm never going to complain. I'm never going to complain about the amount of Tolkien stuff because I'm a massive nerd for it. So, Surith Ungol, old school, like really old school, like early 80s, mid 80s, Doom / heavy metal. So like it's sort of more on the proto Doom side of things.
So does it kind of sound a little bit like early Cathedral?
Yeah, I put it sort of in the same category as that. It's like it's kind of heavy, but not too heavy. You might actually dig it, Matt, because you're into some of that old school, like the lower end production stuff. You like Sabbath and all those old school things. It's sort of in that sort of vein.
Yeah, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Speaking of picking up what we're putting down, we were actually lucky enough. Well, I wasn't, but you two blokes interviewed our number 4th place album of the year as voted by the Cave Dweller music group. It's the lovely gentleman from Weed Demon with Crater Maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
That album's so good.
Me too, man. And such cool dudes as well.
And Brennan, I think it's probably best if you talk us through this album quite a fair bit, because you were a massive fan of Weed Demon and you actually kind of held the fort for most of that interview as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really have been a fan of theirs for a while. I listened to all their albums, and I just like that kind of. That's like basically like the only kind of stoner that I really like besides like Sleep that does that kind of drony, vocals, and they do it well, and they just get so bluesy, they just rip it up, man, and they're heavy. They're, the album's named Crater Maker for a reason, they're just fucking heavy, dude. They, on top of just being really cool dudes, definitely a ton of fun. You can tell they have a lot of fun making music. They like what they do, and that truly shows. Speaking
of bluesy, I just wanted to touch on that because that is one of my favorite things about certain stoner records. Like, you talk about Weed Eater and Conan and all those kind of blokes. I don't know specifically where in the States they're from, but I can definitely see a lot of like that Southern fried rock and the blues bayou music coming through. It's basically like you get a B.B. King song, turn the distortion up to about 15 and make it sound like a guy's like one bong away from passing out, and it's fantastic.
Just one thing quick.
Yeah, these guys,
so I was going to say Conan, I'm pretty sure is actually from the UK.
Ah, well, there we go. I did not know that. But still in saying that, though, it's that style, But, I'm always, I'd rather be happy than right, and I'm happy to work out that Conan are actually from the UK. We're also going to work out what the number 5 place on the top 10 was, and it was Wayfarers with A Romance for Violence, coming out on Profound Law Records. Profound Law have such a fantastic back catalogue. Did either of you gents happen to check this
Brendan
record out?
Did.
Yes.
Talk me through it, my man.
I loved it. It's a great album. It's got great little intro. That kind of sets the tone for the feel of the the old-timey years that they're setting, and then it's just like a very unique blend of blackened, kind of atmospheric, not Western, not quite like, not Western, like as in like, country music, but like Western, like twangy, like guitar, and just like it sounded like some of their songs, just sound like they're by a campfire, out in the middle of the open, mountain range, and just it's freaking awesome, dude. They've carved their way out a little niche in the black metal scene. Denver black metal, man. It's really good.
Denver black metal. I'm going to check that out. So what they kind of have like a frontier feel about them. The way I'm looking at it and kind of I'm interpreting it, if there was a black metal band that did the soundtrack to one of those old John Wayne movies, that was what this record would sound like.
Yeah, something like that. But they Fire and Gold's a really great song. Good clean vocals in there, and it's nice, dude. It's really good shit. It's really good.
Speaking of good shit, number
Amazing
6
album.
on the top 10 was Necrophobic with Dawn of the Damned. Talk us through that record there.
Brendan, I don't know if you caught that one or not, but I did.
I'll
cover that one. Necrophobic, if you don't know them, one of those bands that's been around since the beginning of extreme metal, pretty much. Another one of the old school bands bringing out new music. It's pretty solid. If you like it's like black and death metal, but really sort of on the more groovy, catchy side, but thrashy. If you like sort of fast-paced, upbeat black and death metal, check it out.
All righty, we'll move on to number 7 now. Undeath with Lesions of a Different Kind, coming out through Prosthetic and Maggot Stomp Records.
Yeah, that was another one that pretty much every death metal conversation that was had about albums of the year and all those groups and sites sat alongside Necrot, competing for like album of the year type thing. It's pretty dirty, old school sort of death metal with a bit of like it's dirty. I mean, dirty death metal. Basically, if anything is on Maggot Stomp Records, you can pretty much count on it kicking your ass.
All righty, so that's another one we got to keep an eye out for. I always feel the same with $20.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that comes out on $20 spin, I know is going to have that really metallic power violence twist to it, where you kind of like need to go sit down and just have a bit of a kip afterwards. Like it's really, really visceral music. And also as well, while we're listing off these albums, a big thanks to everyone who did get involved with the voting for these ones here. And the thing that I really like about it, and especially in the closed group, is there's not a day that goes by in that group where we don't have one of our members posting an album that either, I know I certainly haven't heard of them, but it's a really great little community that we've got going on. And we'll touch on the marketplace after we've finished up the top 10. James, I'll get you to walk us through the marketplace. Yeah. But we'll move on to 8th place in our list with Nothing Is Real, regeneration through self-development.
Yeah, so we all, I don't know if you know him, but Brendan and I know Nicholas Turner pretty well now. He's a really good dude. We were
another friend of the page. We've had Weed Demon now, and we've got Nothing Is Real.
He's actually been around as a friend of the page since we very first started. We've been covering pretty much.
He's multi-instrument.
Yeah, he's involved in like six projects that have albums coming out in the next month or two. All of them. There's a bunch of his stuff to watch out for on our page that we're going to be reviewing. That particular album. So there's a new Obsidian Who's coming. There's a new Feral Lord. He's got a brand new project which I don't think you've heard yet, Brendan. He's done with the drummer from Serpent Column, I want to say. Oh no, Evaporated Souls. Yeah, the drummer from Evaporated Souls and him teamed up for it. That's coming.
Whoa! What's this about Evaporated Souls?
He's got an album coming out with I'm like 80% sure it's the drummer from Evaporated Souls, and it's coming out on I Voidhanger, which is a killer label.
Yeah, that's a great label. They have some.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that one. And then there's something else. Oh yeah, another Nothing Is Real is also coming. I've already. He just sent me the files for it yesterday, so they'll be out soon.
Damn, I love. It's always like, even though we are here to, promote music from anywhere and everywhere on the globe, it's always really nice to see friends of the page putting out good music, putting out a lot of music. by the sounds of that, Nicholas Turner's a bloody busy.
Oh yeah, dude. We have a few dudes like that we connect with all the time who put out like 6 to 10 albums a year minimum.
It's good to see. What also is good to see is number 9 on the Cave Dweller Music Group's top 10 of 2020. One that I actually did a review for 4ZZZ. Made it across to the new releases show there. It was Paul Bearer with Forgotten Days.
Yes.
Now, I am a really big fan of Paul Bearer. I think Elder, Paul Bearer, and there's another one of these like modern doom bands, which I have just fallen completely for. Because the thing that I really like about it, and it does kind of contrast to the doom record we were talking about a little bit earlier on, they don't so much feel as metal albums. I kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Carnival Set Fire to the Hive, but it's this whole idea of like an album actually sounds like a living, breathing organism. And as you sort of go through however many tracks, you're kind of going through the lifespan of, an animal, a being or whatever. And Forgotten Days is exactly one of those records. Did you guys have a chance to check it out? What did you think?
I dug it. I thought it was good.
Brendan?
I didn't listen to it. I didn't.
God damn it! You listen to everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that's okay. Honestly, the amount of music that you send through the group and like even in our group chat, I'm kind of just going, yeah, dude, how the hell does he have the time to listen to all this stuff? And I tell you what, by the time that your little ones are, going to their own shows, they are going to be the most well-educated music hipsters ever.
Yeah.
And let's finish off the top 10 of the Cave Dweller Music Group's voted for albums of the year. I can't quite pronounce it. Is it Guerrilla?
Guerrilla.
Apologies.
Yeah, Limbo.
The band's listening in. But yeah, talk us through that record. That was that came out in late July by the looks.
That's a Brandon release.
Yeah, it's amazing, kind of yet again making their own kind of styled black metal, like black. It's like just emotional. It's chaotic. It's kind of spacey. It's not quite spacey, but more like cosmic. It's just like pounding. Then they kind of like drift you off and to let you float a little bit, and it's really nice.
It sounds like it's got a bit of an atmospheric feel to it, by the way you're describing that. I do love myself some atmospheric black metal.
Yeah, they're like black gaze metal. They're just like that shoegaze, like just they're fucking.
So what you're saying is it's basically Death Heaven if Death Heaven wasn't shit. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that comparison. All right, so that is the top 10 as voted by you if you are part of the Cave Dweller Music Group closed Facebook page. If not, if you're not a member now, what are you doing? We've got over 666 members, and that'll be keeping on growing and growing. We are going to touch on the theme day that we had recently, which was an absolute blast. If you wanted to check out what our personal top 10 were and like a few of the other contributors from the website, it's all on the one post, cavedwellermusic.net/reviews post, and I think we put it out on the 27th of December. We won't go through and do our individual top 10 because that'll take us a little while, but we have got a couple of honorable mentions that didn't make it on to our top 10, and we're going to sort of walk through them now. I'll do mine first and foremost because I know that you guys have, I think it was like 7 or 8 each, and I'll just get these out of the way and give you guys the floor to chat about them. But my first honorable mention, which didn't make the top 10, was iFly's Tub of Lard. It's the guys from Full of Hell and a few other members from that like Philadelphia hardcore power violence noise scene that do Melvin's Worship. But Melvin's Worship really, really bloody well. Like it sounds like it belongs on Amphet Records. I can't remember the name of the label properly, but that's that one there. Another really good one came from James's former neck of the woods. We're talking about the Beths and Jump Rope Gazer. If you're a fan of indie pop with that kind of a little bit more of a punk rock DIY base, definitely go check that out. And I'm really excited and have my fingers crossed. But they're coming to Australia in July this year. So unless we get more COVID and all that other sort of nonsense shutting that down, I'm definitely going to be making my way to see the Beths. Boris and Merzbow, who get together and collaborate for a mind-bending record every couple of years, put out a really good one. Can't remember exactly how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to read it out how it's written. It's 2RO1 2PO. More so this time around, it's more of the Boris feel to it. It's, very long, drawn-out drone music. There are a couple of Merzbow noisy elements in there just to keep it interesting, which I was a really big fan of. Did either of you guys happen to check that one out?
I think I heard a little bit of it. I think you sent it to me when it came out.
I probably did. I was a really big fan of it. And we'll bring it back to Australia. Egoism, who are a two-piece band out of either Melbourne or Sydney. I can't quite remember. The On Our Minds EP is fantastic. Big ups to Chris Kopfroff from the 4ZZZ New Releaser show who put me onto that one there. I was listening to it on a trip down to Brisbane. And if you take a lot of 90s guitar pop, up the squeaky, clean pop nature of it, that's exactly what you're after. It is so much fun. And on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, I did a review for this for Cave Dweller Music, but Public Acid's Condemnation, really solid power violence record, really fast, really brutal, and really, really bloody good. So they're my 5 honourable mentions. Which one of you gents wants to take over the honourable mentions now?
Yeah, I'll do. I have Bismarck, the Wonder. I'm saying it so badly here. The Wondermancer, Ironmancer, amazing album. Just awesome, kind of stoner psychedelic doom. That's just super melodic. And then, crushes you, puts you in this nice trance while you're being, kind of snuffed out. It's really good. They did a live show at the beginning of COVID too. It was really nice doing their live album. Really well done. It's on YouTube as well.
Was it a live, in-person show, or have they done what a lot of bands have done and just done a live stream concert, in a studio space? Yeah, they did that. They were at a venue, I think, but they were, there was no one there, so they just kind of did their album and call it a day. That's pretty cool. I know that.
But it was really nice, though. It was good.
Code Orange did a similar thing a while back, and then they also did one recently which looked like they've put themselves in a 90s video game simulator. So if that sounds like something up your alley, go check it out. But yeah, Brendan, continue on your honorable mentions for the year that's been.
For the year that's been, we had Torture Tomb come out.
Yeah,
EP.
So good.
That was good
to see how it feels. Yeah, man. That guy, that's just great, dude. I think they share a guitarist with Knocked Loose and another band which I had on there, Combat. That's they did an EP, so I'm doing kind of 2 in 1 right here. The New Dimensions of Pain. It's got an old school death metal with the fresh spirit of Rock Hills. It's really fucking good. But yeah, Torture Tomb and Combat, really just awesome stuff put out by, some good guitarists, good artists, really kick-ass bands. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, give us a few more.
Keep it going.
Yeah. All right, we got the Scarpotes, Plague Games, Black and Thrash. They put out 2 songs on that EP, and they're just totally solid. We got that Body Void and Keeper Split, that just crusty doom sludge that's just fucking a brick to a face, just so good. You know, they just pummel you out of nowhere. They let you have that awesome atmosphere, build up, tension. Just, it's great, man. Both bands kick ass and they do a good job.
So by the
of that.
sounds of it, it's one of those records where as soon as you put it on, you're kind of ripped out wherever you're sitting, and they put you in this little dungeon of torture that just pummels you until you're like, dude, stop, I can't take it.
Bass lines that are just so thick, you know, it makes it hard to breathe. It's awesome.
I'm finding it really hard to breathe.
And then
that's just because I had my sinuses cut up 2 days ago. So if anyone's like, man, what's wrong with Matt at the moment? Has he got a cold? No, not a cold. I just, you know, my entire nose is filled up with blood. So pretty metal for a metal podcast. Brendan, feel free to continue.
We have, Fistula, the process of that opting out. That just dirty, rotten sludge. Just absolutely amazing. That whole album is just, it's fast. It's exactly what you need to get your blood moving early in the morning.
So would you say that you would have that as opposed to your morning coffee? Or if you really want to get hyped up in the morning, you're going to double up with a coffee and that record?
Oh, yeah, definitely
Okay,
you would double up. And you're going to take it every day for sure.
All righty. What else have you got lined up for your honorable mentions for us, my man?
We got ourselves Drug Sauna, put out a cool little stoner rock, psychedelic kind of deal. Couple songs, real short and sweet, but definitely worth a listen. We got Sky Pig, Hell
That was
is
a good one.
Inside You.
That was awesome.
Amazing psychedelic sludge. Yeah, man, completely unique to their kind of sound. They're definitely making something out of themselves.
All right.
for sure.
I haven't heard that one, but you two...
Whether they do another
You two
EP.
both seem pretty high on that record. Can you talk us through it a little bit? What does it sound like? What would you liken it to?
Brendan,
Give us a bit of an idea.
from what I remember, I might be remembering the wrong album, but weren't there like kind of like dark wave like elements in there, like 80s like dark wave stuff?
Yeah, without like sounding like so 80s though. It's like psychedelic,
there was some
heavy,
grunge,
but it's
some
like
grunge in
still
there.
like they're vocalists. It's kind of like it's clean but heavy. I don't know what we kind of like maybe say like post.
Yeah, it was like
it's not.
It was all over the
screaming.
place. They had like the sludge elements you mentioned. There was like some stoner stuff. There had some hardcore. There was like some dark wave, a bit of grunge. It was a lot of different stuff going on. It was cool.
Damn, that sounds like the...
Yeah,
It
really neat
sounds
album.
like a pretty varied record by the sounds of that.
Yeah, you should check it out, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, what was it called again, gents? I'll just whap it up here on Spotify if they've got it.
Sky Pig, the Hell is Inside
Sky Pig. 2 words or one?
One. Oh, is it two?
You. 2 words.
Okay, my bad. Sorry, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Sky Pig. Got it. Hell is inside you.
Yeah, you like that.
Well,
Hell is inside you.
nice.
You like
And
it.
you know it's a good stoner record as well when the songs are always over 4 minutes.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, just like to
Yeah, it's like,
preface
you know.
that if someone's listening and be like, Matt, why do you like stoner songs when they're all over 4 minutes and you sit there giving shit to any prog song that's, over the space of 2 minutes? Because stoner just sounds better, mate. I don't have to continually argue with everyone. It just sounds so much better.
It's relaxing.
Exactly. All righty. Is that the honourable mentions for you, Brendan?
Yeah, we could leave it there. We had Empress, Premonition, some really good post metal, doom metal, like sludge mix, kind of similar. I think they're actually friends with Heron, and they did a show together, and that's what turned me on to them when I saw the show. And that's fucking kick-ass band, man. Really good album.
All righty.
100% worth checking
Let's
out.
keep the podcast wriggling along. James, I know that you've got a fair few honourable mentions there lined up. Would you like to walk us through your list?
Yeah, look, I said I had 7, but there's 8. I lied. So there's one more that I
You're
did.
always trying to sneak into music, aren't you?
Look, there's just too much good music in 2020. It's not my fault. Blame the bands. It's their fault.
I will. I feel
know.
like that's
I
something
mean,
that we
there's-
always end up getting sad about. We're kind of going, man, there's so much good music. By the time we die, we're never actually going to listen to any of what we wanted to.
But it just keeps escalating. Like, we're only just finished January, and January had like 100 albums I'm already stoked on for the year. It's ridiculous. Like, it's
Yeah, man. There's a bunch of stuff coming out.
February's going to be massive. I have like 12 albums I'd like to review this week still that I might even get around to. But yeah.
Well, I think I might take this to do a bit of a cheap and nasty plug. If you're listening in and would like to join the Cave Dwelling Music crew, definitely you can do so. We are always on the lookout for more people to get involved as writers. If you've got something there you want to promote, be it an album, an EP, a song or something, jump onto the website. We've got all of our contact details through there. If you want to write some stuff, we would absolutely love for you to join us. Plus, it also makes it a little bit easier on our part, not having to chase, as James says, 12 records in a fucking week.
Yeah. That's why I've been doing those weekly wrap-ups, man. I do what I can until it hits the weekend, and like, well, there's like 12 left to cover. Here's like shorter reviews for those 12 in one article. But
alrighty.
Yeah. I've been so busy. Now that I got myself a little routine, I get back.
Good to have you back.
Walk us through your honorable mentions.
All right, so I'm going to start with Terminal Nation. Did any of you guys hear their album Holocene Extinction?
I did not, but let us know what it sounds like.
Has that got the ghost guy in the front?
Yes, it's like orange, and it's got the ghost guy at the front with the clock.
Yeah. You posted it, and I checked
that
it
one
out.
Is one of the angriest albums of the year. It's a blend of death metal and hardcore. Super political, really, really, really aggressive. So if you haven't checked it out and you want an album that will like beat the shit out of you, check that one out.
Cool.
Yeah, really cool album coming. I think Matt Teal liking it was on $20 spin.
So you probably could have led with that, and I would have been like, yes, of course, a good record.
Next, we've got a friend of Brendan and I's album. Squelch Chamber is the band, and Nightmarish is the release. Jason Snyder is the one of the dudes behind it.
You guys have really spoken highly about Squelch Chamber. If anyone's listening in and haven't heard Squelch Chamber, give us a bit of a synopsis and a little bit of an overview of what they sound like and what the record was like.
So I'll start by saying that it's one of Jason's projects. He does a bunch of cool stuff. The other one worth checking out is Deadly Sin Sloth. Yeah, that's good shit. The Squelch Chamber is a little less aggressive, a little bit more experimental. It's, I guess I want to say, sludge/noise music, really. But the thing that makes it so great is they've distorted some of the instruments and fed them through so many filters that there's like this bass line that's playing, and I had to think for like a minute or two what the instrument was. And they're like, holy shit, that is a bass guitar. It doesn't even sound like a bass guitar. It sounded like filthy machinery. It's a dirty album with a lot of really cool effects. Really interesting stuff. Worth checking out. Going to go for a completely different one next, which I actually have I actually talked to the artist about this one. I have some funny anecdotes about it. Modern Ancestor is the artist, and Bardo is the album. Did either of you guys manage to check that one?
I have not.
Are you guys into heavy psych?
I don't think I have either.
Yeah. So it's a super old school heavy psych album. It kind of sounds like Pink Floyd meets Sun Ra. The story behind it is that the dude.
Whoa! Did you say Pink Floyd meets Sun Ra?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Sun Ra. I can't stand Pink Floyd, but 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Well, I know that what you don't like about Pink Floyd is that the songs are so long and proggy, and this is neither long nor proggy. So it's just the good psychedelic elements of Pink Floyd, but in like 3-minute song structure.
All right, I'm listening.
So the story is that the dude went to Amsterdam, just did a shitload of acid, and then like kind of when it was done, had an album. And he was like, well, okay. And there's this funny as hell part at the start. Well, it's not funny. The story behind it's funny. There's this part where it sounds exactly like whale sounds to start the album off. And I was like talking to the dude. I was like, man, I love the whale sounds. It's so cool that you put this in there. He's like, those are crickets. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, those are crickets.
What?
I took like a bucket load of crickets, and I recorded the bucket load of crickets and then plugged it through so many filters It sounded like whale sounds. I was like, no fucking way. So if you want to hear crickets sound like whales,
That's amazing.
that's at the start of the album, and it just gets more interesting from there. And
You've sold me. I really like when you hear anecdotes and stories from artists where they've taken a sound that is so far removed from what will actually be the final product, and you're like, well, how did you come up with that? And they tell you, and it's just kind of like this light bulb moment of, holy shit, I would have never have thought about doing that.
just do yourself a favor as well quickly, and you know you guys are in front of a computer, look up Modern Ancestor Bardo and have a look at the album art, and that will tell you everything you need to know immediately.
Alrighty. Modern Ancestor Bardo.
Yeah, and then just have a look at the album art.
Okay, mine is not wanting to work for me, but that's all right.
For anyone at home who wants to know what it is a blue godlike deity surrounded by mushrooms, flying eyeballs, a purple skeleton, and he's wearing like a tiger skin. And it's actually done by a famous artist from, what's it called, the beach in LA, Venice Beach, at a famous street art studio.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So I've said too much about that album, but I thought they want to have some cool information about it. I'll move on.
That's got to need it, dude. I like the
Yeah, it's interesting, huh?
Or wings.
I've just got it up now. That is a fantastic album cover.
Yeah, wings.
That artist is famous for doing drugged out versions of beloved cartoon characters. So if you check him out on Instagram, he's got like.
You know what? I remember you telling me about that. We had a conversation
Yeah.
about him, I think, or you.
Yeah, I think I sent you some of his stuff. He's got like cracked out Mickey Mouse, and like Donald Duck prostituting himself for drugs on the street corner and stuff. Like just messed up shit like that. It's pretty funny. Anyway, next one is Val Raven with the album Prey. This is a very different direction. This is some absolutely killer black metal from Finland. One of my top black metal albums of 2020. Highly suggest checking out. There's like 3 different vocal styles going on the album. It's got some like depressive suicidal stuff, but also some raw black metal, some second wave stuff. It's a good mix of black metal styles. Next one is Brickville, a little bit more interesting as far as like stuff about the band goes. They actually wear masks, but not like some of the other bands just for attention. They actually wear them in rehearsal and when they're alone together, not just on stage, because they like to change members all the time to keep things fresh, and they don't like knowing who's playing which instruments. So,
Okay, that's an interesting one.
yeah, so it's actually so it doesn't change the dynamic of the band at all when someone comes and goes, because they don't really know who it is they're hanging with, I think. And also so that their fans can't, get attached to anyone in the band, so they can keep mixing styles up, which is kind of cool.
So not even the members of the band know who the other members of the band are.
I'm not exactly sure about how much they do and don't know. All I know is that they said that they like to keep it mysterious and wear it during rehearsal, so they're not sure exactly like who, because they keep interchanging. So, yeah, I'm not sure if they don't know who it is or it's just so that they don't focus on who's playing the guitar when they change members or what. But, yeah, it keeps changing.
That's a really interesting dynamic to have for a band.
It is. And they are a very interesting band. They play like a really creepy, haunting sort of dark ambient drone noise mix.
Okay. That's all very good. All very good sounds and a really good indication of what to expect.
Yeah, the next one I have is along the same lines. It's Shabalba, not to be confused with the one spelt with an X from America. That sounds like Bolthrow, a different Shabalba.
Dude, I was about to say.
These guys are from...
Shabalba.
I like both. They're both great bands. But this one is from Greece, and they play super unsettling, like spiritual, satanic ritual music, all with like weird chants and mantras, a lot of like dark ambience and drone stuff that's super repetitive and like kind of hypnotizing.
So does it have that kind of Batushka feel where it feels like you're actually part of a service and part of a ritual with like the vocals going on to more of a like that sort of mantra, sort of chant way of looking at it?
Yeah, it's got all that, but it doesn't have, it's not like black metal or anything, so there's no like real like black metal vocals. The actual vocals are super creepy as well. They're kind of like tribalistic and like equally as unsettling. So yeah,
All right.
definitely check that one
Sounds
out. I played it
that
for.
sounds like an interesting project.
I played it for Kira, who's my wife. If anyone listening who doesn't know, and she said, "Please turn that off. I don't like it. It's scaring me." So yeah, that's that one. I only got two more. One is Pig. Any of you guys familiar with him?
No, but is that the record Pain is God?
Yes, that is the one. He is a big name in the industrial scene. If you guys know who KMFDM are, one of the biggest industrial metal acts of all time, he contributed to a lot of their albums.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he did this album. It's kind of like, early Marilyn Manson when he did industrial music that was actually industrial. That type of thing. Really good, like angsty, kind of dirty, slimy industrial. It's got like a sleazy feel to it. Yeah, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but some of that industrial music has like a kind of sleazy, dirty feel to it.
Yeah, I know the feeling that you're putting forward. Yeah,
and like the lyrics are a little sleazy and dirty as well. Like he calls himself the Lord of Lard. That's his nickname for himself, and just that type of stuff. It's really fun, really, really catchy, super enjoyable industrial music for anyone who is interested in that. And my last one is actually from my homeland of New Zealand. Matt, this is the band I told you about who does Dune-themed music.
Yeah, see, we mentioned earlier on there needs to be more Dune-themed metal. And
Yes.
This is the band that kind of made me realize, well, yeah, we need to do that. Also, I think I told you this the other day, but I now have the first 5 books in the Dune series, and I paid like $20 for all of them all up because I'm a sucker for a secondhand bookshop.
That is awesome. Brendan, are you a Dune fan?
Dune? Like the
the books and
the
movies
very
and
same.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt and I are pretty into it. It's one of those sort of underappreciated. I mean, it's got this massive following, but in the mainstream sort of community, like music community, there's not much appreciation for it. But this band gave it some love. So this is Planet of the Dead from New Zealand with the album Fear of a Dead Planet, not to be confused with, I believe, Stephen Wilson Porcupine Tree with Stephen Wilson has an album by the same name. And this is sort of a mix of really groovy, catchy sludge, doom, stoner music. It kind of at times has like a bit of an early Rob Zombie vibe in the catchiness and the energy, but it's got a lot of dirty fuzz and some 2 vocalists. So you got like the harsher, more sludgy vocals and then the more catchy stoner stuff. But yeah, there's songs on that I've listened to maybe 100 times. I just keep coming back to.
Oh, very nice. Well, that ties it in well
Nice.
because you are a fan of sludge and you're a massive fan of Dune. So putting those two together sounds like it's right up your alley.
Oh yeah, and I only discovered that album like end of December last year, so it barely made it into the year for me.
When would you guys say that your cutoff point for albums of a year ends up? Because I know that a lot of other music sites that I follow always start their top albums of the year in like the very first week of December. And I always sit there going, motherfuckers, you've got like another 4 weeks of music to go. Like you're missing out on a month's worth of records.
Oh, I know. That's why. Do you remember for our side, I actually ran it the last like 3 days of December.
Yeah.
And that's why I did that, because there was a whole nother month of music, and some of that stuff ended up in my top 10 list.
But yeah, I always find that really interesting when you look at places doing the top 10s. They'll start doing it, early in December, and you're kind of going, well, that's like a whole 30-something days of music that you're just neglecting. I suppose they do have a tendency to carry it over until January and that kind of stuff, which I mean, that's more or less what we've done here with the wrap-up of 2020 podcast. But yeah, I always found that a little bit funny.
I mean, you could, I guess, consider maybe the last week or so of December, maybe like the beginning of the next year's music. I don't know. There was a band that did this really awesome atmospheric kind of funeral doom called Oak, and they put out an album one of the last days of 2019, and I was like, man, dude, this album is really good, but it's it didn't come out, and it's atmospheric death doom, but they have, I'm notorious for it, but 16, 19-minute long songs. I think the shortest song they have on there is 6 minutes, but they feature members of Guerrilla as well.
Oh, cool. So there's a little bit of a crossover with the band that we've already spoken about.
Yeah, but when did this album come out? It was December 20th, 2019. You know what I mean? So come on, throw it into 2020.
Yeah,
I thought about it, but I didn't. But now here we are. Talking about.
I did want to ask you, Brendan. Is I know that this happens in Australia quite a bit, and it does sort of tie into that weird end of the year thing. But I know in Australia, the week before Christmas until the end of January, nothing gets done. People are on an entire month-long Christmas holiday. Is that a similar thing that happens in the US? As soon as, say, December 15th happened, nothing happens until early the next year?
Well, as far as just people doing things in general,
we'll create a bit of a scenario. Say you needed to get your car fixed, right? And you had it booked in for halfway through December.
Yeah.
And is it a fair chance to say that your car would not even be looked at until the end of January, just because everyone's taken Christmas, New Year's, and the whole festive season off?
Well, I mean, some some places a service job like that, I'm sure have people that do take time off, but I don't think so. America just keeps moving, dude.
Fair enough.
I don't give a shit about
Australia
anybody.
is pretty lazy at the best of times, so I guess that's probably more a reflection of us than it is on the Seppos.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right, so that...
Yeah. We just keep it trucking, man.
Work till you die.
So then we had a recap there of the Cave Dweller Music Group's fan-voted top 10. We've got our individual top 10s up on the website, and we had a bit of a chat about the honourable mentions that we've wanted to bring forward. One thing that I did want to bring forward as well, we've mentioned the Facebook group here a couple of times, and I think it's fair to say that we had one of our most successful theme days pretty recently. It's one that I've been wanting to post and sort of host for a while, but if you haven't had a chance to check it out, it is basically bands that you can't stand. I did want to say hate, because hate then in turns mean you have some emotional investment in it. But these are the kind of bands that if you're at a party or if you're listening to the radio and they come onto the radio or at the house party, your entire body sits and goes, fuck, I've got to suffer through this shit for the next 3 or 4 minutes. Someone that got really involved and had fantastic takes was a bloke by the name of Flo. And I just the one that really killed me was Flo was like, the first 2 Entombed albums fucking suck and they were better as a rock band. And as someone who bloody loves the first 2 Entombed albums, that was a fantastic hot take.
Yeah, there are a few of those.
It was just a good bit of fun. We there was a few concerns that people were just going to use it as a chance to troll people and take pointed shots at other people's music listening. But I'm really impressed and I'm really proud of the little community that we've developed. I think it was over 130, 140 comments of people getting involved and jumping on. Another one that I wanted to read out, which was fantastic, is just there was 2 or 3 different people who shat on Slipknot. And That makes me so very happy because, and I'm going to repeat something that I posted, was that any band with masks and a gimmick is just a shit version of Gua. It's true.
Someone else said something similar as well. Where was it? Anthony Hawke said, "Am I too late for the theme the next day? Why does Mushroom Head still exist? Is it just in case Slipknot are busy and they need a terrible band that wears masks?"
I remember seeing Mushroom Head at Soundwave a while back.
Yeah, same here. I was at the same show.
This fucking sucks.
That was so bad. I just, they were around before Slipknot, and I was like, okay, I think they were at least. All right, that's their gimmick. And then Slipknot came, and it's why did they just be all right, we're done? You know what I mean? The Slipknot's bad, but then they're terrible.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, like I said, I always compare them back to Gua just because I remember being a real young fella before I even listened to Slipknot or Mushroom Head, and seeing Guar play on an episode of Viva La Bam. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is fun. It's something a bit different. Completely forgot about them until I went to that Soundwave with James, and he's like, Matt, we're going to go see Guar. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I vaguely know of them. And as soon as Odorous Urungus comes out on stage with that cuttlefish codpiece and just spraying the entire crowd with blood, I was like, this is the kind of goofy metal that I'm 100% here for.
I'm going to read out another two of Flo's, if that's okay.
By all means. These were fantastic.
So he said, every dissection fan is morbidly obese and tries to have sex with female NPCs while playing Dungeons and Dragons, much to the disgust of the others at the table.
And having played D&D with people who actually do want to try and fuck every character, it is so annoying and so painful.
And there's another one, which was, I have never met a fan of Revocation who could read a full page of Harry Potter book without having to sound out the words.
That also ties into another great meme of people over the age of 25 and the only book series that they've actually read is Harry Potter. It's like, dude, just read another fucking book.
Well, people have based their entire personality around Harry Potter.
It does my tits, and it does. Another great one was Nick posted Ghostbusters, just some weirdo randomly screaming while he pretends to be Chinese over the leftover songs for a secondhand car dealership commercial. And that was so funny and so spot on.
I was surprised how many likes the one I posted about Five Finger Death Punch got, to be honest.
Oh, dude, I think Five Finger Death Punch is just one of those bands that it's such low-hanging fruit that
it's a cheap shot. I couldn't help it though. I wrote.
Dude, it's okay. I did my shot at Gent where what was it? I don't know. It was just me whinging that if you can play a fucking finger tap Egyptian scale and over a 5/7 polyrhythm, why can't you make a decent fucking song?
Yeah, for anyone who missed the one I wrote, it was bands like Five Finger Death Punch and Avenged Sevenfold and all other Monster Energy metal suck. Basically, anything that could be considered a good soundtrack to punch holes in drywall to while your mom heats up hot pockets and brings them downstairs to the basement. And then Brendan said, with a Mountain Dew.
Oh, of course. If you don't have the Mountain Dew, it's not worth it.
Yeah, so
you gotta wash that down. Mama made a dry sandwich. You gotta.
And I think as well, it's worth premising that it's not only the music from those bands are kind of lame, but there's something about the fans of those particular bands that think they are the most extreme version of metal. Dude, it's basically the Dunning-Kruger effect of
Kyle's and Darren.
Yeah. It boils my piss so much. We know that we don't listen to all the kind of music in the world. We are aware that we have blind spots here and there. But there's just something about that particular fan group and that sort of demographic of fan group that thinks, yeah, man, I listen to Avenged Sevenfold and it's the heaviest music ever. It's really? What are you fucking listening to the Wiggle songs every other second of the day?
Or you hear those people who listen to Avenged Sevenfold and they're shooting other bands be like, no, man, I listen to real metal.
If people didn't think they were elitist before, that's definitely going to confirm it for them.
They can deal with it. There's actually a rule in our group which no one has adhered to that says no Monster Energy metal.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's actually posted Monster Energy metal.
No, I don't think so.
I think there was one time.
Yeah,
at the very start.
Then Brendan upped them. As you should.
Yeah,
as
I was
and we are so very incredibly proud of you for doing so.
Monster Energy metal / Kyle Rock.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it as well. Kyle Rock. No Kyle Rock allowed in the Cave Dweller music group unless you want to get yelled at by Brendan. Speaking of the group, another thing that we always do during our podcast is the idea of cave paintings. It's kind of like a Hall of Fame, but seeing as we're going for a very Neanderthal cave-based theme of these podcasts, we kind of want to do something a little bit different and keep within our aesthetic. Last time we did the podcast, I put up Kanye metal memes, and both of you two gentlemen put up a particular album. Now, I'm going to keep within the theme of not putting up any music because I wanted to pop up on the cave paintings non-alcoholic beer, which I know is going to get a couple of weird reactions. Brendan, you especially being a brewmaster, is going to be like, non-alcoholic beer? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. But I know, but you can yell at me later. I just make it. This is basically me verbally posting Kyle metal, so you can yell at me if you want. But I haven't had an alcoholic drink for a little bit over a year, and it was a bit shithouse to start off with. But then I found that non-alcoholic beer is a thing, and it actually isn't too bad. Obviously, you can get shithouse ones, and there's a lot of like German ones, which basically you're better off just eating an entire loaf of bread. They're that goddamn yeasty. But there is a really good craft beer one that comes out of the Gold Coast called Sober, and I wanted to put down their Pepperberry IPA, which is fantastic. It tastes exactly like a beer. It just doesn't have any alcohol in it. Well, yeah, it's pretty much But we were talking about IPAs before we started recording, and I felt like you would be, at the very least, interested in a non-alcoholic IPA.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat. You can make beer with very low alcohol content, you know. It's not what I normally would do, but
yeah, and it's something a little bit different, and it's and oddly enough, it's
if you're just like, thirsty, you got a lunch break and you're just like, well, I weigh 10 pounds and a normal beer will get me wasted, so
that's
I'll just be a
and like I
non-alcoholic.
think as well, I've noticed there is a growing trend in people who are actually starting to drink more non-alcoholic beer than not, especially with things like, was it Dry July, Sober October, and everything like that. It kind of ties in well to see this this odd subsect of beer consumption sort of bringing itself to the forefront. Speaking of interesting things, James, you had something a little bit off the beaten track that you wanted to pop up for cave paintings. Talk us through it, because you posted it the other day and it seemed really damn cool.
Yeah, went up about 5 hours ago. Was a review for a band called Wallowing that put out a graphic novel titled after their debut concept album, Planet Loss. For anyone who doesn't know Wallowing, they're a band from the UK that play a super aggressive, really heavy version of Blackened Sludge. So it's kind of like, if you want to know what that sounds like, if you've ever heard Lord Mantis, think along the lines of like,
I'm with that.
Yeah, think along the lines of like Lord Mantis, but with more noise, like elements. It's got a lot of like harsh noise thrown in the mix as well, and it's sci-fi themed. So it was a concept album.
Yeah.
The original was from Sludge Lord and Black Voodoo Records, and this special edition re-release with the graphic novel is from Trepanation Recordings, who is a good friend to the site, and Surviving Sounds. So basically, the band teamed up with a graphic novelist, graphic artist called Luke Oram, who's done a lot of really famous artwork. Check him out if you get a chance. He has some killer stuff. And he's based the novel on their album, and the concept of it is like a post-apocalyptic sort of desert world in the future. It was like a lush planet that was attacked by aliens. They overthrew the government and enslaved the people on the planet and turned it into a giant desert. And it's kind of, for me, it made me think of something like Dune meets Mad Max, meets like Star Wars regarding the Outer Rim territories, or the games like Rage or Borderlands. Very much like that sort of thing, like Desert Raiders on the alien planet. Very, very cool shit.
This is a fun little aside, but I'm really enjoying the more we're mentioning June throughout this podcast, and even throughout all these episodes. I think we might actually have to start dedicating an entire 15 minutes just to talk about it, because I think that's the fifth or sixth time it's popped up so far today.
I think so.
Why don't we finally start a band and do it? Doom.
You can call it Fremen Raider.
Fantastic.
Or Telelaxu clan.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to that Planet Last album.
Good call. Matt, you should check it out. You would like it a lot.
It's really good. Yeah, I bought it, a digital version of it when it came out.
Well, if you want the
When did it come out?
if you want the graphic novel version, it's £19. Comes with a limited edition CD with one of 3 different album sleeves that are collectible items, and the 30-page graphic novel. And there are limited numbers left in existence.
That's pretty damn cool. I always like when bands do something off the beaten path to promote their record, and doing a graphic novel associated with it. That's pretty bloody cool.
I think so too. I think it's awesome.
Alrighty, and Brendan, what were you going to pop up on the cave paintings this afternoon or this evening or whatever time it is over in the US of A?
I wanted to do the basically the blacklight version of the Lord of Cosmos by Earth Diver. Just such a cool album artwork. I really like it a lot. I think it would be pretty cool to just have hanging up on the wall. That, looks like Odin or somebody's throwing a fireball of a planet at you inside of it with the Raider coming out. It's fucking cool.
I hadn't seen the album cover before, but I just checked it out then. I am a big fan of that. It reminds me of a lot of those Earthless covers.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I really like it. It's just kind of like, I think it would be really cool, like, blacklight poster kind of deal, like just really big, with that kind of, I don't know, like with where like the black is actually kind of like
I
fuzzy,
do.
You know what I'm saying? Like a really nice one, like I think a huge poster of that would be cool as shit.
I feel like
man.
that we could
so cool.
honestly just have an entire wall of our cave filled up with that, because that looks fantastic. Oh God, yeah.
I like that.
Alrighty, well that's
cool.
got my vote for the week. Let's be honest. That's a really awesome thing, and I probably am going to end up listening to that as soon as we hop off the podcast. I wonder if people do that when they're listening in to the podcast. Like they get out a pen and paper and start jotting down all the records and bands and all the different stuff that we discuss, so they can check it out afterwards. Because I know that I do that when I'm listening into a podcast here and there, or alternatively, like I've got my laptop in front of me and I've just been like searching everything. I wonder if our listeners do the same thing. If you are listening in and you're trying to take notes and everything of what we're doing, let us know. Let us know if we can make it a little bit easier for you. Hell, we could probably even start making a list of all the stuff we've written about and put it in the description.
Yeah, might be a good idea.
We could. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Well, there we go. So that's a
lot of work for you, buddy.
I think that by the sounds of that, I might have to rescind that statement, so I'm not making so much bloody work for myself. So that's our cave paintings. We've got non-alcoholic beers, Planet Loss's Wallowing, and the associated graphic novel as well. Go check that out. That's pretty damn cool. And do you want to do just the cover of Earth Divers, or do you want the whole Earth Divers Lord of the Cosmos?
I mean, you might as well have the music to go with it, but yeah, I mean.
All righty.
No.
There we go.
You don't get both.
No, it's one or the other. You can't have both.
I get to have the full album for Wallowing and the graphic novel, and you just get an album cover.
Well, that's pretty typical. James has finally pulled rank as leader and decided to make sure that he's the only one that gets the around here.
Yeah, power has gone to my head. All of the power that comes with running a unpaid admin role on a music review site.
Dude, I knew that your head was getting a little bit too big, but I'm glad that it's finally been put into audio form, and we've got you on record saying it.
Well, I mean, it can only go.
Now we've seen the dirty side.
I mean, I can only go so long, like with all the kickbacks and the groupies before it goes to my head.
Well, it's like it's like that quote out of the Simpsons movie. Have you ever tried going mad without power? It's boring. No one listens to you. Speaking of listening to, another thing we like doing here on the Cave Dweller Music Podcast is bringing some albums back from the grotto. Now, these don't exactly have to be old records, from the 70s or 80s. They could just be ones that we don't see talked about enough or not talked about to the amount that we would like them to be talked about. I'm going to go first, get mine out of the way, because I know James has some opinions on this one here. But the album that I want to bring back from the grotto is The Witches with Annabelle Dream Reader. Now, my reason for bringing that up is The Witches actually put out a brand new record last year. It's very good. I'm a big fan of it. If you have heard of Guantanamo Baywatch, or kind of like that surf/desert rock sound that's a little bit quirky, a little bit from left of field, but want something a little bit more, what's the best way to describe it? A little bit more sinister. Like there's a little bit more of a darker underbelly when it comes to the Witches records. They are going to be what you're after. And Annabelle Dream Reader was an album that came out, I can't remember when it came out. It was a while ago, but it was one of those ones where you can't help but continually go back and listen to it over and over again. It's a little bit Death from Above 1979. It's a little bit DZ Death Rays. It's kind of a mix between a few separate things, but it is a fantastic record. Creepy riffs, unsettling vocals, but all packaged in this like Desert Doom / surf rock feel to it. So it's a little bit more mellow than what a lot of the unsettling music we post here on Cave Dweller Music, but definitely a big fan of it and definitely something worth your time.
Yeah, I back that completely. Absolute work of art.
Would you have a different way of approaching it and describing it apart from that?
No, I mean, it really is like, it definitely has the surf rock vibe. It's got the psychedelic elements, but it's also got the noise, like rock side to it. It's a really perfect fusion of genres. And you're right, it has limitless re-listen value. I don't even know how many times I've listened to the album. Like once a month, I listen to it in full, at least. I don't know. It's perfect. It never gets boring either because every song is so different to the last.
And it's one of those weird records where I think it was one of the first one that the Witches actually put out. And I always feel sorry for the bands. Well, not so much feel sorry, but I always find it a little bit... I feel a bit guilty listening to some of their other albums because I'm kind of like, oh, this is good. I like the Witches, but it's no Annabelle Dream Reader.
Well, for a bit there, I mean, like, that was their first full-length album. They had one EP before that. And then they did their next album, and I hated it. It was a complete change in style. And they kind of went in like an MGMT sort of direction, which is like, I'm not saying MGMT sucked because I will admit I love MGMT's first album, Oracular Spectacular. That is a classic.
Fantastic record.
Absolutely love it. But they completely changed styles after Annabelle Dream Reader. And then the new one, they finally brought it back.
And I was so happy when they did. I remember sending that to you, and we were both like, this is exactly what we want in a record. But we are wanting to bring, well, I'm wanting to bring back from the Guru. You can put your vote to this one as well. But we are bringing back The Witches with Annabelle Dream Reader. And James, what is the record that you are wanting to bring back?
This is one I mentioned to you guys the other day. It is Dystopia is the artist, and the album is Human Equal Garbage.
Yes, we love some misanthropy.
Yes, we do. There is an EP version by the same name, and there's a compilation version by the same name. I'm going to be talking about the compilation because it includes the EP plus a bunch of earlier, like, unreleased stuff from smaller releases. If you don't know Dystopia, they hail from Oakland. They were around in the very early 90s through to, I guess, I want to say like 99, when they split up again until like 2008. They play really filthy sludge and crust punk. Probably some of the rawest sludge music in existence, up there with I Hate God easily.
God, I love I Hate God.
I do too. I'm a little nervous about the upcoming album, though, after hearing that first single.
Oh, they do have a new single out, don't
I hear you.
It's not the same. It's not
It's
got
a little
the
different.
like. It's not as angry and it's not as dirty.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sounds like hardcore almost, but
All the
yeah.
southern heroin fueled sludge is gone. But anyway, not to go off topic. The album, I mean, it starts with one of my all time favorite songs, Stress Bill's Character, which it's kind of like a monologue, but screamed, just screamed about how much pretty much this person hates being alive, just because they hate having to get up, go to work, and eat food. Yeah, you have to listen to it to really understand it. There's a lot of like sound clips and stuff in the album for songs like I think it's the second or third one is an entire song about third one, Sanctity, an entire song about suicide, where they have like spoken word audio clips of people that killed themselves. It's a pretty intense album.
All right, so we've got The Witches, Annabelle Dream Reader being brought back. We're also bringing back Dystopia, Human Equal Garbage. Brendan, what is yours that you want to bring back?
I want to bring back Goya's Harvester of Bong Loads.
Wait, Harvester of Bong Loads? Okay, just wanted to make sure that I was on the same page. Talk us through that record.
It's really amazing, like stoner doom metal out of Phoenix. They like not quite a rocky vibe to them, but like definitely really good atmospheric build up. Yet again with me and my iconic 20-minute long songs, 11-minute long songs, just amazing album, I think. Came out, let's say 2017. Yeah, vocals are pretty cool. They're clean. They're a little dirty, kind of fuzzy, like just awesome, good stoner stuff. Like if you're really looking for that stoner vibe with a great guitar riffs, awesome build up, just kind of dystopia-ish.
And it's a really cool album cover as well.
By Feeling Bad. Yeah, it's like that Grim Reaper sitting there, and they're all kind of looking at some kind of in the graveyard. It looks like,
and it's got that
80s,
that's one thing that I always like about these sort of like southern stoner bands is they have a very specific color theme and color scheme that they always use. There's always a lot of browns and there's always a lot of purples and like muted greens. So when you look at an album like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like a shit ton of weed everywhere, and then there's like, in a graveyard with mushrooms and, cosmic background. And,
alrighty.
Yeah, man. It's good stuff. I highly recommend listening to this album. I mean, I want to have it. I want to bring it back,
Oh, we definitely can. So there we go. We've got 3 albums that we're bringing back from the Grotto. That one there that Brendan was just mentioned, Goya, Harvester of Bong Loads. James wanted to bring back some 90s crust / sludge with Dystopia and Human Equals Garbage. And I'm bringing back The Witches with Annabelle Dream Reader. So we're going to be popping those ones there up on the Facebook page or on the website. What do you reckon would be easier, gents?
Website, I think. I mean, I'll look into it. It will be somewhere.
All right.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Keep your eyes peeled. James is a tech wizard. I just sit here and talk shit, and then Brendan just listens to more music than there are hours in the day, which is a fantastic skill all into itself. So we've kind of covered what's happened last year music-wise. We've touched on a few of our honourable mentions, had a bit of a chat about the Facebook group that you should definitely get involved with if you haven't already. But we're going to have a look ahead to what we've got coming up in the next little while. You guys have done 2 interviews recently. Talk us through who we had lined up for an interview.
There's only one, actually. You've caught up with the interviews. It's just Jason Snyder of the aforementioned Squelch Chamber and Deadly Sinsler.
Beautiful. We also have one from the death metal guy from podcast, don't we?
Oh, so that's actually going to be, you'll have to cut this part, Matt. That's going to be attached to as part of this podcast.
Oh, okay. Righto. Cool. No, that's no worries. Well, in that case...
So at the end, when we wrap up this, I'll be like, And Brendan and I actually sat down with these people. Keep listening to hear their interviews, or whatever, and we'll slide it. We'll transition over to those.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, or even you and I can get on and even just do a quick
let's do that. We'll do that. Yeah, that sounds good. Matt, and you can just splice it that way. Brendan and I'll be like, here's something we sat down with, blah blah blah. We'll do like a little intro to each one.
Cool. All right. Well, that works. Well, in that case, I'll re-ask the question of the interview that we've got lined up and touch on a few of the reviews we've got coming out as well. All righty.
And let's also mention the marketplace and that we're on Twitter now.
Yep, sounds good to me. All right, so we've sort of covered all of the music that came out last year. If you've been keeping up to date with the website and the podcast, we've actually released quite a few recently. The most recent one we did was with the gentleman behind the Reticent. Really interesting record about the process of dementia and Alzheimer's. Basically, think the caretakers everywhere at the end of the world, but condensed from 6 hours down to about an hour. James and Brendan, you had another interview that you guys have wrapped up recently. Who have we got lined up?
That is Jason Snyder of Squelch Chamber, who we talked about earlier, and Deadly Sinsloth, among a couple of other projects. So we chatted to him for a little bit, and we'll have that out soon, hopefully.
Wonderful. So they're the interviews that we've got lined up. After we wrap up our first half up here between us three, you guys are actually going to go and check in with a few other of the Cave Dweller Music contributors. Who are you guys going to be having a chat to a little bit later on?
So we sat down with and had a chat with Nick from Hessian Firm.
We love
Nick. To our side. We do love Nick. He is our French member. So he runs Hessian Firm, and he also contributes as a writer sometimes for us as a guest writer. He's also a good friend of Cave Dweller. We talk about what his label had in 2020, what he has coming out this year, and just general music banter, really. And then the other person go on, Brendan. Oh, no,
I was going to say, it's just good talking to him.
He's a very easy guy to shoot the shit with.
Chatting with him. Yeah.
We kind of, if you carry on listening to the rest of the interview with him, we actually get into like a bit of a rabbit hole where we talk about old school thrash for a very long time. Kind of went off topic a bit. So if you like old school thrash, keep listening for that part. And then we also sat down with the death metal guy from the Terminus Podcast, which is another podcast series that if you don't already follow, you definitely should. They're fantastic, and they're a little bit better at this than we are. They've been doing it for a long time now, and they have some really fantastic guests on there. They actually had today, what's the guy's name? Sorry, just let me check it. The lead singer, I don't want to get it wrong, the lead singer of Tal Cross and Amoebex. The man is an actual legend. His band is kind of considered responsible for creating crust punk as a genre, which is a pretty big feat. Rob from Amoebex. They had on their show today. So definitely, if you haven't checked that out, that is a cool episode. We sat down with him and talked about some of their podcast's top albums for 2020. Unfortunately, his co-host couldn't be there for us, so it's just him discussing both of what they loved. We just talk about some music theory, a bit of elitism in the music industry.
Oh, that's essentially our
some
bread and butter, though, isn't it?
Of course it is, and of course some seriously great hot takes from him, which their podcast is famous for.
That's wonderful. So it'll be if you really like the hot takes that popped up from us and from a few other people during the bands that you can't stand, that may have primed you for some of the hot takes that these blokes have got lined up.
Sorry about that. It was my dog tried to jump off the bed. Did
it successfully navigate the jump off, or?
It did not. I stopped it. You have to cut that out probably. And I was like,
No, that's all right. We'll leave that in. What is your dog up to?
He's
good.
He's getting better. He's I was still on like crate rest, so I just let him sleep on the bed with me when I'm doing stuff like this. But we thought we were going to lose him for a bit there. It was like they gave us 3 options to either put him down, have a surgery, or see how the crate rest went. And luckily, he responded really well to the crate rest and a serious dose of steroids. And he's walking around and playing again. We just have to keep an eye on him and keep it limited.
That's great.
But he's getting better.
Yeah, you were very worried about him for a very long time.
Yeah, I love my dogs.
Alrighty, so that's that's what we've got lined up at the end of the interview, and we have actually joined Twitter recently. James, tell us all about that.
So I swore I would never join Twitter, simply because I really can't stand a lot of things about Twitter. But turns out a lot of people like Twitter, and a lot of people use Twitter.
Who would have thought, eh?
Yeah, I know, who'd thunk it. So now we are on Twitter. For anyone here who likes that as their preferred platform, please don't take what I said in an offensive way and have us cancelled, as Twitter people do, and give us a follow.
What's the handle on Twitter?
It is, I have to get it, give me 2 seconds, at Dweller, DWELLER _music, because Cave Dweller was taken.
Oh, god damn. Some people are trying to steal our thunder.
I know.
You absolute bastards.
How dare they be around before us?
I know. It's not like we've only started this under a year ago. The pricks.
I'm still really, really bitter about the fact that cavedwellermusic.com was taken.
I know, we're going to go .net. Terrible.
I know. And at the cavedwellermusic.com, like, I hope they're listening. They suck. Their website is garbage, and they should feel bad for taking up a good URL.
I know. Well, maybe we can amass all of our followers to go harass them into giving it to us. I got no idea. Maybe that's a thing we can do. Gents, before we finish up today, we've got there's always a ton of new music coming out that we're keen on having a look at and stuff that we'll be covering. What are you guys going to be covering in the? We'll go the next month, shall we say? Give us a little bit more of a set date for it.
Give me 2 seconds, and I will tell you.
I got some more stuff that I'm looking forward to coming out in April.
All right, hit us with it, Brent.
You go first.
So
you go first.
There we go. April 23rd, we have Crypts of Despair putting out an album, All Light Swallowed, off of Transcending Obscurity. Also, same record label, Plasmodium. They're out of Australia, cosmic black death metal, kind of experimental in ways, incredibly brutal. Looking forward to that album. And Supplicross, Vezio, another atmospheric death doom project. Really looking forward to this. This is actually coming out in March. Sorry. So we'll have this a little bit before the other two. But yeah, these guys are out of Portugal, and they have got an immense sound. Really great. Tight work. Really good album. The artwork is... Who did the artwork on this? Oh boy. Trying to look for the little description here. Where is it? Oh yes. You have to cut this part out, maybe. Me just going.
That's okay.
Oh, there it is. It says who did their artwork. Felt like it did. Artwork. Oh, by Mazarius Ludenzowski. He did the cover art for Aramit, Raga Johnson. And it's just awesome, cool looking artwork. This kind of huge mountainous, cavernous kind of thing. It's very epic looking, and there's they're very. He's really good about like showing size with his paintings and artwork. Like this, like little guy is kind of near the top of this album cover, and he's just inside of this very, very monstrous place. So and you can kind of see like a little kind of like phantom in the kind of middle of it to the left. So this is going to be an awesome album. It's going to be great.
One of the things that I always like about your descriptions of records, Brendan, you like spend, this it's this style, this is what it is, but man, this fucking album cover, this goddamn album cover, I love it. It's always great. I'm always sitting there going like, should be an art critic. What are you doing wasting your time talking about fucking music for?
Dude, the Plasmodium album cover is going to be really nice. It's freaking cool, dude. It's like this skull, when you have this like city that's like kind of getting melted colors on it, like tears of, I don't know, man. Amazing stuff. Very psychedelic looking.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm loving Descending. They got a lot of pretty cool bands. They do a lot of awesome, like their vinyl looks so cool, They put a lot of time and effort into all that. So it looks top-notch stuff. Yeah, the Crypts of Despair album cover, too, looks pretty fucking badass. Their sweatshirt is looking pretty hot. I want one.
All righty. Well, those are the ones that got lined up. James, I'm just going to jump in here and I'll run through the ones that I'm rather keen to check out. Viagra Boys have already put out a record earlier on in the year. Keep your eyes peeled on the Cave Dweller Music site because I am writing a review for that one there. Not as we speak, but it'll be out sooner rather than later. I've just finished one up for Sleaford Mod's Spare Ribs, which came out through Rough Trade and Remote Control Records. That one will be going up a little bit later on. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, we've got the new Cloud Nothings record, where in a similar vibe to The Witches, it's very much like dark indie punk. Big fan of that. Julian Baker as well. I don't know whether you guys are familiar with Julian Baker, but if you ever want to listen to music that just breaks your heart and makes you cry, that's definitely the way to do it. And We Set Sail from Brisbane. I've been a really big fan of those guys for ages. They weave so many different movie clips and that sort of stuff through their music. Very excited to see what they do. And if anyone listening in remembers the record store Kill the Music, one of the gents from We Set Sail used to be the owner for that. So there's a couple of the records that are just coming out in the next month that I'm keen on. And I'll pass it over to James. He's going to tell us what records he's excited for.
Yes, I have the calendar up here. Actually, I'm going to start with one, Matt, because I'm now going to get a reaction out of you on this one. And last week of February, we have Adnate from Toowoomba.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And you know who's an Adnate, right? Someone that you know.
Blaze is in that.
Yeah, Blaze.
God
yeah,
damn.
Blaze's album is coming out.
That's fantastic. I had no idea. If and when they have a release show in Toowoomba, I definitely got to go hit that up.
I hope you do. Be there in spirit for me and have some non-alcoholic beverages on my behalf.
Well, if they have them, I certainly shall.
So what else we got? That same week, this isn't a new release, but I'm kind of excited that they're re-releasing it. The classic thrash act Wehrmacht have two of their albums being re-released to Petrichor, which will be finally available to purchase, which is kind of cool. We have a Brisbane band, actually, Pustulence. Have you heard of them yet, Matt?
Pustulence.
Uh-huh.
I can't say that I have, but judging from that name, they sound like they'd be a part of the Brisbane power violence sort of Logan punk area.
Yeah, it's a death metal act. It's from they have the demo's already out in digital format, but physical release is coming out starting next month. That same week, we actually have another album I'm really excited about by King Bong. I don't know if any of you guys saw my review for King Bong's re-release last week, but I was super stoked on it. That's some of the best heavy psych music I've heard in a very long time. It has didgeridoo, if that tells you anything.
Oh, god damn, really?
Yes, and people play the trash can as an instrument. It's
cool.
some great, and a bunch of Middle Eastern influences. They're from Spain. So they have a new album coming out next month, which I'm super stoked on. What else we got? There is... Just got to pick. There are too many. Winter Arven, Abysses, coming out early March. That one's something I'm excited about as well. I haven't actually checked this band out yet, but the name has me excited. They're called Witch Tit. Album's called Intoxicating Lethargy. Should be pretty good. We have... What else we got here? Look, I might leave it there. I have a lot on this calendar, but I don't want to list off too many. There's a lot coming out. I'm going to be reviewing a lot of albums in the next few months, so just keep an eye out.
Keep an eye out for those ones there, and keep listening in after my dulcet tones leave the podcast, because Brendan and James will be chatting to a few of the contributors from the Cave Dweller Music Extended Group. Gents, thank you very much for taking some time out today and doing a bit of recap on the year that was, having a chat about some things, just some general happenings, and as always, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And just one more thing before we wrap up. For any artists who follow our page, or band members or label owners, if you're looking for a place to sell your merchandise, CDs, vinyl, any of that stuff, tapes, we've actually opened up a marketplace group specifically for that purpose, because we know that you guys are always looking for somewhere to, push your stuff without annoying people. I know that some groups don't let you post it in there because it's sort of kind of spamming, but yeah, come post it in our group, because that is exactly what we need.
Fuck it. Come spam our group. That sounds fantastic. It's a Cave Dweller Music.
Exactly.
Cave Dweller Music Marketplace is the name of the group, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, which is different to Cave Dweller Music Group. Do not spam the other group.
Well, if you are going to spam the other group, make sure it's nothing but hot takes and watch everyone get really, really not even upset. Like I said, very impressed with how that was handled. Gents, that's pretty much our time wrapped up, because you guys are going to go jump and have a chat to the death metal guy from Terminus, and also having a chat to Nick from Hessian Firm. Before we finish up today, was there anything else that you wanted to plug and have a chat about?
No, I think that's about it. That's us done for this week. Just we'll kick over to those interviews.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, until next time, have yourself a lovely remainder, or have yourself a lovely day, and we will chat again shortly. And say g'day to both of our other guests for me.
Yeah, will do. Thanks for coming on.